Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, broadcasting from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Empire and on the fringes with the New Republic. Join your hosts Garrett K. Jones, Brian Karasik, and John Mark Tolley as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore and characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. Remember, this isn't just your Star Wars, this isn't just my Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. This is the way.
It is indeed the way and our Star Wars. And I almost said the way, truth, and the life. But that will be a different podcast.
It'd still be a pretty fun
podcast. Welcome to another fun-filled edition of War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. I am John Mark Tolley, joined as always by my host, Brian Karasik and Garrett K. Jones. And, I probably should have been eating this when we did our hot takes video.
Hot tamales?
Boo.
No, hot tamales, that would have been very appropriate.
I'm more of a Mike and Ike fan myself.
I do like Mike and Ike's. I'm one of those weird people that actually doesn't mind black licorice.
I chew forever, buddy.
In small doses.
Ew. I don't like that fennel.
Great audio content, chewing on candy on a microphone. You're welcome, everybody.
Oh, man. So this week, we're going to be diving into some more philosophy in Star Wars. Specifically, we're going to be talking about war crimes. And, of course, if you caught the thumbnail for this week's episode, you'll see everybody's favorite war criminal, Chopper. Which who I chose for the thumbnail.
That tracks.
It does.
I think even the crew of the Ghost would be like, yeah.
Here's the irony, Mark. Here's the irony is that when I Googled, I was on my phone this morning and I Googled Star Wars war crimes, the first 5 pictures that popped up were all different positions of Chopper.
Well, that's because history is written by the Jedi.
Well, at this point, the Jedi don't exist, man. Not in Rebels. They're not a thing. So.
Wait a minute. Isn't Kanan a Jedi? Isn't he talking?
Well, he's a Jedi. He's not the Jedi.
The Jedi. Yeah.
So. Cool.
Well, I have something for Chopper for you.
Okay.
You've probably already drawn this conclusion.
That everything he says is profanity?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. What he says isn't profanity. What R2-D2 says is profanity because they have to bleep out every word he says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think he's a war criminal.
Oh, sorry.
I think he's Kanan McCormick.
Yeah.
Choose for orange-hooded white asses. Who every line is on. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. I think I've said this before. My favorite Chopper scene is there's a scene where there's this other little droid that's been helping them out, and they're all thinking like, "Oh, you did such a great job." And you just see Chopper in the background stewing. And the minute he's out there, the rest of the crew's got their back turned. He basically pushes them out the bomb bay doors. Just like, you. And they're like, "Where'd he go?" And Chopper's like, "There."
So, for this episode, I decided to Google a list of war crimes that take place in Star Wars. I'll be pulling that up here in just a sec. Okay, here we go. Okay,
I'll save mine.
I'm curious to see what you've come up with. So we've got a little bit of everything. I mean, we've got perfidy, which is fake surrenders. We have discriminate destruction and planetary atrocities, torture and mistreatment of prisoners, perfidy via enemy uniforms, and execution of surrendered or unarmed combatants. So let's just, this is some of the main war crimes that we've seen across Star Wars. And ironically enough, some of our favorite characters are like the people guilty of this, like Obi-Wan, Anakin. I mean, Anakin, of course, is just chock full of war crimes. But even Han Solo is a war criminal. So yeah.
Interesting. This is an interesting search. I would love to see the rest of your search history.
Well, this is just the first little bit of searching I've done today. Beyond the Googling a picture of Star Wars war crimes and getting Chopper. I'm curious to see what you guys come up with.
Well, I mean, obviously you have the Death Star. I mean, I think that's the big one. I mean,
it's mass genocide of the entire planetary system.
Well, we can look at the second season of Andor.
Yeah, because we do.
I mean, that right there is a war crime.
We could look at the original, the prequel trilogy, where we see, if I may share.
Yeah, go for it.
The Jedi Order is a paramilitary organization which employs child soldiers to enforce the values of an unelected leadership unaccountable to anyone whose decisions are based on a pseudo-religious cult, the will of which cannot be determined by anyone outside of the cult, and you never see your family again and you can't ever marry or have children. Some may say this is a war crime in that these children are being indoctrinated into this organization against their will and without their consent at infancy.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the parents consented. Although we don't know how willingly they were. I mean,
say what you want about the Sith.
Now, I make this a joke. This is from my Star Wars memes collection, but I do believe that if we saw an organization in our world, in our galaxy, where this exact means of recruitment was employed, I believe that the UN might have something to say about it.
Well, this is the kind of thing we do see in our world. I mean, you just go into sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes, that's exactly my point. They absolutely would say something. So, without doing like the elevator pitch version here, young Padawans are not taken from their parents, but their parents are given quite a pitch about what a great life they'll have. And in many cases, they are, we're not taking rich, privileged children away from their families. A lot of them are the Anakins of the world. And I do think it's key that the Jedi are accountable to nobody except the Jedi. And they explain their actions as being in keeping with the will of the Force. Okay, but how can you know that? Because only Jedi can commune with the Force, right? So, no, trust me. It's the Force. The Force says you have to wear this silly hat. It could be anything. But so the fact that these children are, and yes, their parents give them away, but are the parents really aware of exactly the situation is debatable, and it's also debatable the ethics of a parent's ethical ability, if you will, to surrender their child to a lifetime of child soldier is not an overstatement of the case, especially not in the prequel trilogy.
Well,
as an infant, your parents are giving you up forever, and we see many in EU and in canon. We see many Jedi who encounter their parents in Darth Plagueis. There's one Jedi who is called back to his family when the rest of his family is killed, and he's like, "You don't mean anything to me. These aren't my family." And it's an interesting view of the traditional good guy army. And yes, I am the one to point out that actually the good guys are the bad guys, and I know I'm a jerk about that, but the fact remains that they are indoctrinating child soldiers into this religious cult.
Well, and we see them exercise that overreach in the Acolyte. I hate to bring up that show, but it was a really great example of that.
It's okay, I haven't seen it.
Well, they're on a planet that is not with it falls as an outlier in the Outer Rim from the Republic. It's not a part of the Republic per se. It's just in the purview of the Outer Rim, and they have really no stake to it. They have no authority to really be there, other than, hey, we're exploring this and trying to figure out why there was some kind of weird anomaly in the Force on this particular planet. And in the whole process of it, that's where they stumble upon the twins, Osha and May. And the first thing that they do is they try to they approach the coven there and say, well, it's our right to test any children who may have force and induct them into our organization. And the coven's like, screw you. We were here first. We don't have any authority here.
I think it's funny. It's such a given that the Jedi will take Force sensitive kids that in the Clone Wars, Cad Bane pretends to be a Jedi to kidnap a kid, and he almost gets away with it. And they're just like, seems legit, strange alien with funny voice. Well, take your kid, he's a Jedi, and okay, here you go.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, I mean, by the time you get to the Clone Wars, the Jedi have become so they're already well established before that, but like they're so steeped in their own lore that people are just like, I think there's kind of a willingness, and it leaves me wondering, like, how ethical is this? Like, are they using Jedi mind tricks to coerce parents? Are they allowing freedom to choose? Like, what happens if you're the parent of a child who's incredibly force sensitive, but you don't want to give up your child because you love your child and you don't want to be without your child? Or in the case of someone like Dooku, who would have been the last of his name and at some point would have to carry on that name.
Well, I think I had to look this up, but the math of it is that we assume that everybody knows the Jedi and sees the Jedi everywhere, but according to this, as we know, in the prequels rather, we're quoted as there being 10,000 Jedi, and that would bring them to a ratio of 1 Jedi per 100 billion people in the galaxy. Break that down to the 7 billion people on Earth, and that is a vanishingly slim number of Jedi. So there's a huge number of people in the galaxy who've never seen a Jedi, never known anybody who's ever seen a Jedi. Like, a Jedi coming to your planet is probably a huge deal.
It's like seeing a unicorn.
Yes, exactly. And now that unicorn wants to take your kid and raise it to be a unicorn. Hell yeah, you're going to turn that kid over. It seems an unfair sales pitch, as it were.
Yeah.
God, I hadn't thought of it. 1 Jedi per 100 billion people is crazy.
Wow. That is wow.
So, at any rate,
So
and all of which,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to completely derail the conversation to be anti-Jedi, as I am prone to do.
I was just thinking that makes sense why it was so easy for the Emperor not only to villainize the Jedi, but for them to become the thing of legend so quick.
Right.
Like, why Luke can be act like he's never heard of a Jedi.
Hey guys,
Right.
You've now seen unicorns.
There's the local zoo here in Ashboro has a Save the Chubby Unicorn T-shirt or something. I forgot what it's the specific wording, but
Yeah.
the same way that raccoons are happily referred to as trash pandas. But to get away from that, I'll let you guys ponder that at your will. I don't think we'll decide that. We're not going to resolve that, but I do think that's worth discussing. So, folks at home, email me.
So, we can look at Saul Guerrera as a war criminal.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
He tortured
Very much
people.
so.
He randomly, killed his own people.
Can we touch on that? Because I don't think the AI has described war crimes pertaining to mind-controlling aliens being fed your brain, which is not really an option open to us here on Earth.
It does talk about here the torture and mistreatment of prisoners. So, for example, Darth Vader routinely tortures prisoners of war and captured rebels, including Princess Leia and Han Solo.
It's like step one. Like he doesn't even ask her questions. You just like bring in the droid.
Now,
well, no, actually, if you go back to the original
now I will say this:
he disappeared. Did he become one with the Force?
He's like Batman.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. If you go back to what is said in A New Hope, he actually doesn't jump straight to torture. The probe droid is brought in after traditional interrogation methods have.
Oh.
They only bring in the probe droid because she's been resistant. And even still, even with whatever truth serum they inject in her with that probe droid, it still does not work. She is still resistant.
There's not a chemical in the galaxy that
this.
can make Leia do what she doesn't want to do.
I will say this though. In Vader's defense, I can't believe I'm defending Vader, but
I'm listening.
The Empire would probably argue this, that because the Rebel Alliance is not a legitimate military power, a legitimate government, they do not fall purvey under any galactic laws.
Where have we heard that argument?
Therefore,
that sounds like something a Lieutenant Merriweather would share with us.
It's really disappointing to be a veteran these days. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I've alluded a few times to my Palpatine rap, but one of the lines in it is, I fought a war with the whole galaxy, but I was both sides. When I do my fatality, democracy dies. So that's always charming. But anyway.
Let's see. Oh, another torture and mistreatment of prisoners. Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker. They use aggressive, mind-breaking force tricks and physical violence and choking on captured enemy leaders like Cad Bane and Poggle the Lesser to extract information.
Yeah, but with Poggle, like, how do you even know what you're squeezing? You know, like, it's just, there's so many pipes and tubes in those things. It's all just internal fluid sacs.
Grab a hold of the jowls.
Yeah.
You know, keep them from...
There's a Rick and Morty scene that comes to mind. Where... Okay.
Of course there is.
Rick does not tell Morty that he's not actually torturing the guy.
Oh, jeez.
And he's like, no, just keep hitting him there. And Morty's like, he doesn't seem like it. No, just keep doing it. Well, we could, speaking of perfidy, we could touch on, just briefly touch on Palpatine causing the deaths of billions by waging a war, by being both sides of it. That's kind of next level as far as that goes.
Well, he himself never engages in any fake surrenders, or although he does kind of take up an enemy uniform because he
orchestrates a 1.2 million false flag operation in that the entire Army of the Republic is formed to combat a threat that he has engineered.
But that's like a Tuesday for the CIA.
On a bit of a grander scale, would you give me 2 Tuesdays? It was a Tuesday. Oh, Raul Julia, we miss you.
Oh, I know. He was the only good part of Street Fighter.
Well, geez, I put all my academia into the Jedi or war criminals shtick, but It is an interesting thought, and to step away from real world discussion of war crimes, when you're dealing with someone who is so patently evil. For example, the Empire would say that torture against Princess Leia was warranted because they were not necessarily. I do agree with they're not a legitimate government, but also perhaps more specifically, we're attempting to get the plans for this base that were stolen. And the loss of this classified government document could lead to the deaths of billions, and does, and so that's, many governments have justified excessive force and aggressive. Yeah.
If you think about all the things that went on during the early 2000s under the second Bush administration, where you had all these expats that were exfiltrated to Guantanamo Bay or some other black site location and put through extraordinary rendition, waterboarded and other forms of torture just to extract information that they may not have, just because their name showed up on a watch list. And it's kind of something similar to that, because I mean, think about how many times we see in Star Wars where someone may have inadvertently crossed paths with a rebel or a resistance fighter or enter faction here, and they're then caught up in the whole thing. They are captured and they are put through the paces of being tortured, whether it's with droids or by other means, in some hidden black site.
Yeah.
It happens so frequently that it's like it gave the CIA ideas for how to operate.
Yeah. Well, the use of heck, I mean, we saw that something similar happened in Andor, season 1, with the use of basically slave labor.
Yeah, that prison that he goes to, where he meets Smeagol, is that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's
one I saw listed here on my list is privateering.
Oh. Now, how does privateering factor in as a war crime? Because I know it happened during the here in the world and during the grand era of piracy during the.
So it says privateering with conditional immunity. Rebels use letters of marque, allowing actions normally considered war crimes.
Okay. So what exactly were they doing in their privateering that would have been considered a war crime? Are there examples?
Let me see what it says when I click on the link.
That's funny. Just based on, I guess, my search history, I got all Jedi violations, which including child soldiers. But it also mentions, this is kind of funny, summary executions. High-ranking Jedi occasionally crossed ethical lines by executing immobilized or surrendered foes, most notably Anakin decapitating a defenseless Calden Dooku. Let's leave out the fact that Palpatine made him do it. Right? It wasn't like Anakin went there to do that. In fact, he's like, it's not the Jedi way. Like, he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, and this came after literally disarming him.
Right. Nice.
It was an offhanded comment.
Oh.
So
you got one left.
Okay. So this is from the Star Wars reference fandom. It says the Rebel Alliance used The Rebel Alliance used privateers to harass Imperial supply lines. They gave the privateers a letter of marque which established the rules for privateering. This letter usually included a conditional immunity for crimes committed before entering into contact with the rebellion. Legitimate acts of privateering were not considered crimes under the letters of marque, but war crimes were especially excluded from this immunity.
I have been trying to get a letter of marque out of the U.S. government for 15 years. They just won't do it. A question about torture. Why is Darth Vader using a droid? You have the Force. You can read people's minds. What's the problem here? Do you remember in Rebels when Palpatine offered Ezra the chance to see his parents again and live with his folks and just be happy? All basically he had to do was give up rebelling. I really wanted to see that in execution. Not even reality. Just wanted to see a future conditional, what it would have been. And it would have been Ezra in the field with his mom or cooking with his dad, or maybe throw a little sister in there somewhere. But then the camera pulls out and it's Ezra just in a gray cell staring blankly into space, thinking that he's doing all that. And that's where the Force really contributes to this this discussion is when you have access to mind control, when you can cause hallucinations, the war crimes get really interesting. Because now you're not limited to drugs and physical torture. Now you can make people think that things are happening that are not.
Well,
be they good or bad.
Well, I think
it's what's worse torture? To be convinced in your mind through hypnosis or hallucination that you are happy while you are not, and as a result perhaps give up information, or to be convinced in your mind that horrible things are happening so that you give up information to make them stop.
I think either way it's going to be terrible, because I mean, essentially what you're applying is simulation theory. You're mind warping a person, whether you're doing it chemically, electronically, or telekinetically. You are putting them through a simulation of either the one thing they want most in the world or the one thing that they fear most in the world to break them.
Right.
And it screws with a person's brain so badly that they don't know reality from a non-reality. Like if you've ever read the book Infinite by Jeremy Robinson, it deals with a person who actually puts himself into a stasis to experience a simulation while he's in like hyperstasis or whatever for like space travel, and he lives like entire lifetimes in this whole thing, and it leaves him brokenhearted until he wakes up. And over the course of time that he's been in this simulation, it is like it's only a few hours that he's in there, but because of time dilation, he feels like it's been a lifetime, and it is. So, like, imagine being put through those paces as, as the victim of that. I mean, that is. I think it doesn't matter which direction you go with it as the person executing the plan. It's going to be brutal and cruel no matter what.
Do you have you read any of the side stories in the Matrix universe?
Yeah, I've got the Animatrix on DVD, but beyond that, in the core films, there's
an anthology of short stories, and in them, just real briefly, a fighter pilot is approached in midair by an agent. Like his fighter pilot his plane just freezes in midair, and an agent just walks up to him, and basically the agent comes clean about the whole Matrix situation. And the pilot is like, why are you telling me this? And it turns out that aliens are attacking the Earth. And they have found a way to get past all of the machine's defenses, and that is aliens are dropping the moon on the Earth. And so they've been like just hurling asteroids from the asteroid belt. They're just like pelting the Earth with asteroids from beyond the machine's ability to reach. So they need this fighter pilot to operate this craft that they have created, and there's some machine information about why the machines can't do it, but they've built a spacecraft to combat this, and they need this one pilot to operate it. Send him out into space, he wins, he defeats the alien fleet, but then this ship does not have a means to come back. And obviously the machines are like, thanks very much, Mr. Battery, like now you are expired, we can toss you away. But the agent is like back with him in the cockpit now. The agent's like, so, really sorry about that, but like you did, you saved the whole world. You can be glad with that. But they give him a deal where you're going to die in 30 minutes. That's all the oxygen left in the ship. But they plug him back into the Matrix, and they make that 30 minutes last the rest of his life. And he lives out, like time dilation, he lives out a full life and retires. And he's just like, there's some debate in the story as to whether or not this is a good or bad thing. Like, I'm going to die in a half an hour, but I will never know it. And it seems fair.
Well, and the thing about that is, like, with that particular thing, it begs the question, like, if he's already plugged into the Matrix, why disengage him from the Matrix just to put him in the ship when he could have, like, done it remotely?
he needed to physically pilot it. There was a specific there's a delay. Like he's beyond Saturn when he's doing that. So there's
gotcha. So, and the delay would have been too long.
Yeah, the uplink.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
They're still on Spectrum.
I like that.
There's only so much they can do. It's still copper wires.
Yeah, and so obviously, we don't see the Force being used to torture anybody until later on. Until I think it was after the prequels came out, and we started seeing the Clone Wars and anything else. But I mean, we do get to see some use of the Force in torture, and that is with the use of the lightning. I mean,
sure.
I mean, war crime right there. I mean, Palpatine is very blatant about it, but he will use the lightning as much as he possibly can to torture somebody,
even unto his own death, twice.
Even unto his own death.
Twice.
3 times.
Well, the first one didn't die. He got the face.
Okay, fair enough.
And you got to read the book to know that. I'm disappointed in that scene. Story for another time. Go on.
But when he uses it in Revenge of the Sith, it's not Mace Windu that he's torturing with it. It's Anakin, because he's forcing Anakin to make a decision. He's forcing Anakin to choose a side. Now, Anakin's already made the choice. He just hasn't admitted it to himself yet. Because if he was really honest with himself, he had made the choice, and that's why he was there. It wasn't to bring him to justice. It was because he was taking Palpatine's side.
And yes.
And so the second time in Return of the Jedi, it's to torture not just Luke for rejecting his offers. It's also to punish and torture Vader, saying, "Hey, this is what happens when you cross me." Unfortunately, he kind of left himself open for being blindsided. And then, of course, he does the same thing again, but it's not as much of a torture in Rise of the Name Stealer, because he's not actively torturing anybody with it.
Rise of the Name Stealer. I do think that, by the way, on that topic, I do think that Palpatine, who's the king of the kill me and I still win, that old chestnut, I think he'd be okay knowing that before he died, he ended both the Solo and Skywalker bloodlines and his granddaughter sitting on the throne. I know I've said it before, but it bears saying again. Yeah. Speaking of things I've said before, folks at home, if you've not heard this before, I do want to touch on the fact, if you hadn't noticed, Palpatine reveals himself to Anakin as a Sith Lord at that precise moment because he knows that Kenobi and Yoda are both off-planet. That choice between Sidious and Windu is very intentional. It couldn't be any other way.
Yeah. Yep.
Subscribe to my Substack. Palpatine was right about everything. To follow and read more.
Please tell me that you record your notes for that in the voice of Palpatine, and that's what plays when people get to the new article.
That would be funny. What I do have some good shtick I do where I do drunk dial calls to Kenobi and Yoda. When you're finished staring dramatically into the middle distance, Kenobi, give me a call back. It's been a while. It's catch up. Call me back. It's not Palpatine. It's the little orange one, the Togruta. It's her. Call her. Call me back. Oh, I did think of another war crime that the good guys commit, and that is in Rebels. Young Ezra Bridger uses a power that we never see used before or since, and that is to use the Jedi mind control to cause an AT-ST pilot to commit suicide at range.
Which you've mentioned before, but
yes, one of my populars would love to see that again, or at least explored, or in some way justified how a young Padawan is able to do that, and no repercussions whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
Yes.
Sure, Jedi can commit murder with the Force. It's fine. I mean, all bets are off. Yoda's hiding on Dagobah, smoking up that Dagobah dynamite. He's having a good time.
Well, I mean, if you want to get technical with it,
as I always do.
Yeah. If you look at the fact that the Empire was at that time the legitimate government of the galaxy, then the rebellion itself was a war crime. I mean, you can if you can look at it from the view of the Empire, how the Empire would have viewed it. They said the Alliance is trying to overthrow the legitimate government, galactic government. Therefore,
even I would dispute the concept of the Galactic Empire being a legitimate government. It was founded on a number of deceptions.
Right.
I believe the fruit of the poison tree there.
I'm looking at it through their view, how they would look at. Yeah.
Oh, how the Empire would. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How
I have another question.
When did we trade sides? Why am I pitching this from the Jedi point of view?
Wait, are we the baddies?
No, I am. Stop taking my shtick.
Sorry.
Look behind me. There I am with the Emperor.
So, would
Death Star quilt?
Yeah.
2 different Darth Vader lightsabers. Palpatine, Kane. I'm the one supposed to be doing it. Anyway, carry on.
In the Clone Wars, when the Jedi or the Clone Troopers shot retreating, or let's say if a battle droid surrendered and the Jedi just cut them down, was that a war crime?
No, because they are hardware. They're technology.
They are devices.
So even if they, because I was watching something today and they were talking about, different types of war crimes, and I was a lawyer, military lawyer, and the video was him referring to a scene where a guy was playing a like a Battlefront game, or like a not Gears of War, but like Call of Duty, and he was shooting, like, these people were running away, soldiers running away, and he was shooting them as they're running away, and they were like, "Oh, this is a war crime." He's pointing out that no, that was not a war crime.
No,
because
so as someone who has actively played Halo for the better part of a quarter century, you occasionally will find yourself in skirmishes where the AI governing what the Covenant does will send them scattering, especially if you're dealing with grunts and you kill an elite or you kill a brute, and all of a sudden the grunts, who are their infantry, scatter. At that point, you're not committing any war crime because they're still part of the engagement.
Yeah.
Because they at any point can turn around and start firing at you. And I've had that happen.
That's one thing that the lawyer was saying, was that when they turn around, if they start running, yes, they're still combatants. You can still technically shoot them because they could at any time regroup. They said now if they stop and they surrender, then it would be a war crime if you shot them, unless it was a false surrender. Right.
Like, for example, if a grunt, I love this. If
Go on.
his plasma pistol or needler or whatever, and just completely leaves the battlefield, that's perfectly fine. But most of the time, and keep in mind it's a video game, so they're programmed to do this. But most of the time, they'll run away, and then they'll pivot, and they'll start trying to shoot off a couple of rounds before you pummel them with your battle rifle. So, at that point, it's not a war crime. What happened with Dooku specifically and Anakin is because you had a combatant who had been literally disarmed, who was in a prone position.
He said again. Disarmed.
I love that reference.
That's great. That's great. You're a dad. You deserve it.
I do. Anyway, so there's another great example of this. I think it was when they were using the stealth ship against that one general voiced by Sulu, the Spider General, and at that point I think they engage him in a physical in a physical altercation where they end up having to deal with him directly and creating that basically committing a war crime there as well, because he was disarmed. He wasn't actively engaged in the battle. He was
but with the Spider General, you got to disarm him so many times. You started it.
I did.
So, folks at home, if you're not watching the video, I have stepped off camera and returned literally wrapped in a flag because hearing war crimes discussed through the lens of I know a lawyer and I used to play Halo, I kind of had to get in on this. Having served in a war, I'm going to go ahead and say that the rules are very clearly laid out. Like the Geneva Convention is not subtle. There's things that we can do. There's things that we cannot. And it's very very clear.
Or as the Canadians refer to it as, the Geneva Suggestions.
Yes. Yes.
Because
the Canadian,
the joke is that half the Geneva Convention was because of the Canadians.
Yes, it was.
That's funny. They didn't phrase it that way in training, but now that you mention it, I do think that it's unfair to apply real world ethics like that to the Star Wars universe, but it's fun to, and I do think that sort of thing where we can define, and it really even in the real world it comes down to who is defining this role. Is it a terrorist or is it a freedom fighter? Is it an act of war, or is it an act of proactive self-defense? Is it a war as an excursion? What are we going to call this? And the narrative defines the reality. And I saw two different sources refer to the clone army as being an army of slaves. Well, most of them didn't want to leave. Does that mean they're less slaves? No.
Well, I mean,
Daenerys' army of slaves could have left, but they didn't.
But to be fair, the clones were programmed.
That's weird too. I was surprised when we found out there was a chip in them. I mean, you've got them right there while you're developing, and just put that impulse in their brain. It seemed like the Kaminoans could control almost everything else about them. Why not install that?
Well, the chip though was specifically there for Order 66. The rest of it, their loyalty to the Republic, was part of their conditioning. I mean, it's the same reason why, and again, I'm referencing Halo, I'm crossing the streams again, but that's exactly why the Spartan program was why they conscripted 6-year-olds into the program, because 6-year-olds, just like with any cult or organization, are better easily conditioned to do whatever it is that they're being taught or trained to do. And so you have this group of people who are trained from their youngest possible age to be the peak soldiers of whether it's the UNSC or the Galactic Republic or whatever.
Shades of or the God Emperor, if we're talking Warhammer.
Right. And you see
Katie lives.
Well, you see that same thing happen in Ender's Game. I mean, think about how young Ender is in Orson Scott Card's.
Isn't he 9?
He was like 8 or 9. Yeah, he was like a military.
He's Anakin.
He was tactical genius, and all he thinks is the way they plug it for him is, oh, you're just playing a game. It's a video game. That's all it is. And he's committing genocide.
Yeah, but how fun would those battle worlds, those battle schools be, like with the floating rooms and the enemy's gate is down? Oh, man.
I would have jumped in that on a heartbeat.
I got to say, Orson Scott Card gave the commencement address at my wife's high school. He's from Greensboro.
Yeah.
And my wife went to a residential high school called the North Carolina School of Science and Math. You must have unbelievable academic skills and be recommended for it and then test into it to get there. And he basically told those kids for 40 minutes that they didn't know how good they had it and they were spoiled and they didn't deserve to be so comfortable and confident and they had a hard lesson coming. Like, this is not what you're supposed to tell graduating high school kids. Like, say congratulations, you did it, and get out of here. Like, have some punch. So, and ever since, we have no Orson Scott Card books in my house.
Well,
which is a shame because I really liked Ender's Game and Red Prophet, but
I've only got 2, and they were books put out by Marvel under their Ultimate imprint. Ultimate Iron Man 1 and Ultimate Iron Man 2.
By Orson Scott Card?
Written by him, yes.
Wow, I didn't know he'd written those.
Yeah.
Did you? I recently learned that, I forget if I mentioned this, R.A. Salvatore wrote the novelization of Attack of the Clones. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Which explains all the drow. Wouldn't that be funny? There's just like a whole chapter of drow. Like, this isn't in the movie at all.
Oh my god.
Wait a minute. That makes a lot of sense because wasn't Ari Salvatore the one that started the New Jedi Order with the hero? I think he wrote the first one of the with the using Vong.
That would track
right?
because I find Drizzt Do'Urden insufferable in the same exact way I find the Vong insufferable.
I'm looking it up. Hold on.
I know there's like about 20 of them, 20 books in that.
You guys are D&D D&D
Okay,
adjacent.
no, he did not write those books, or he did not work on them. The only one he wrote was Vector Prime. The authors of the New Jedi Order were Michael A. Stackpole, James Luceno, Greg Keyes, Roy Denning, and Walter John Williams, Matthew Stover, and a few others.
Ooh, Matthew Stover, he wrote episode 3.
It did.
Okay. I know Salvatore wrote something in Star Wars. I just couldn't remember what.
Yeah, he worked on Vector Prime. Yeah, which the Vector Prime does deal with the Yuuzhan Vong.
I got one for you.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, let me see here. Boom. Yep, accurate.
Tell me which one of those is a Yuuzhan Vong and which one is a Githyanki.
Yuuzhan Vong are the ones on the right-hand side.
All right, well, you're an unfair example. I always had a problem with the Vong.
No,
they were just
what
like,
you need,
why?
What you need is the meme from The Office where it's like pick which one is the picture.
They're the same picture,
and it shows yeah, it's the same picture.
Corporate needs you to find 10 differences. Here, this is my. I got real grumpy with the Yuuzhan Vong in 2015. And folks, if you're not watching, this is a meme portraying a picture of the Yuuzhan Vong, and it says, if they made an animated Star Wars movie drawn by Rob Liefeld, starring Fairuza Balk and Skeet Ulrich, with the soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails and Gwar, which took place on the Hot Topic homeworld in the 90s, it would have looked a lot like this. Which is to say, the Yuuzhan Vong was when the 90s invaded Star Wars and took it over. And if you don't know who Fairuza Balk and Skeet Ulrich are, well, I'm way too old for this joke. Remember when they were in everything? They were just like the king and queen of 90s prom.
If you don't know your
anyway,
stream, you don't know your water boy.
I think more kids nowadays would know Rob Liefeld than anything else. Yeah.
Okay, if people who have watched the Deadpool movies do not know who Rob Liefeld is, they need to walk off a cliff.
Yes, then shame on them. Shame on them.
Yes. Although, to be fair, Rob Liefeld is as good of a creator as he is. He was a bit of a jerk when it came, like, I know that he split off from Marvel with a bunch of other guys to start working on Image and stuff like that, but, like, dude, he screwed those guys over.
And then they stole, like, there was one character in Image that was basically just Wolverine plus Puck.
Shadowhawk.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, he had Wolverine's hairstyle. Like, he had the sort of the bangs and the...
No, that's a different character then. I was thinking the uniform. There's a character called Shadowhawk in Image. Let me see here. Image Comics. Shadow.
The real war crime was Image Comics.
I don't know.
He was a short little Puck guy. And you know who Puck is, right? I'm making an Alpha Flight reference. Okay.
Yes, trust me, I get when it comes to
Yes.
anything Marvel and mutants, I get the reference.
I assumed so, but I've gotten in trouble with that.
So,
Well, I can't find it, but I remember there was some Image comic that had a character on it.
About Shadowhawk.
Yes.
He looks like a
yes.
chrome-plated Wolverine. Like ridiculously derivative. Like I think both Logan and Mark Spector need to sue.
Well, I'll leave it alone. I can't find it now, but I will say I wanted a Nightcrawler comic for the longest time. Nightcrawler was my favorite guy. The way most people are about Wolverine, Nightcrawler. I wanted these hands so bad.
Yes. I will say this for my daughter, not to cross streams again, but Nightcrawler is my daughter's favorite X-Man.
You should
but
get
she always calls him
somewhere.
Kurt. She said she loves Kurt.
You should get somewhere a copy of X-Men number 153. It is in the old lineup. It's an 80s comic. It's from...
Yeah. What
Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's. I think I know which one you're talking about.
It is a bedtime story that Kitty Pryde tells Ilyana.
Yes. Oh, it's Kitty's.
Juggernaut Smackdown.
Yeah, is that Kitty's? Not Kitty's bedtime story, but it's Kitty's.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Kitty's bedtime story for Ilyana.
I haven't quite got to that because right now we're reading through the Dark Phoenix saga.
Okay, yeah, so it comes after that.
We were just introduced to Kitty and Dazzler.
I've got the screen up there, or the cover of it. I had this, and it is the basis for the Nightcrawler 4-issue limited series that came out a year or two later, where they go to the world presented in this story, and there's little teeny like Cabbage Patch Nightcrawlers that are called Bamfs, and then there's a Wolverine guy who's like a Tasmanian devil, and
the Bamfs have made a comeback in more recent years.
Yes.
Oh, good.
I
have a particular attachment to the X-Men in that I used to work for Lockheed.
Nice.
Yes.
The Dragon.
And in the
Dragon.
In the 12 years I worked for Lockheed, I met 0 people who were aware of that connection.
Yes.
Of course they would.
And that is disappointing. Like, you guys are wasting this.
I know.
I also, and Garrett, you may appreciate this one, more than once I would enter a conference room with 2 of my colleagues and say, "When shall we 3 meet again, in lightning, thunder, or in rain?" Which is the first lines from the Scottish play written by Shakespeare. And I have found that when you deliver a Shakespeare reference to a room full of defense contractors, what you get is... because not even the crickets applaud.
And I appreciate the fact that you did not refer to it by its actual name, but by the Scottish play.
Yeah, nobody's dropping a piano on me today. Thanks very much.
Right.
Guys, we're not in a theater. Hello. We can say it.
Okay, then
to a certain sort of thespian, we're always in a theater.
Yes.
All the world's a stage, my friend.
Exactly. Well, we have gotten a little bit off topic, folks. But I think we can agree that if Cassian Andor has shown us one thing, it is that all sides are capable of war crimes, but only one side really gets held accountable for it.
Yes. The Huts.
The Huts. Did he leave that there on purpose?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he did. I can't say I blame him.
America. Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
I have another flag.
Imperial.
Of course he does.
Of
course he does.
I fly this on my house on May the 4th.
That's awesome. And then 2 months later, you do the other one.
I do.
Nice. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up because we're pretty much all out of special
Flags.
War crimes. Brian, why don't you go ahead and tell all the folks out there where they can find you?
Well, folks, you can find me at the Sith Library and Archives on Facebook, also on the Galactic Empire. I post as Lieutenant Commander Merryweather, the Public Affairs Officer of the Imperial Star Destroyer Crotalus, and I post as Darth Korosis, one of the Sith archivists there in the library. So if you prefer the mystical or the military part of the dark side, you can find us both there. The Sith Library and Archives or the Galactic Empire on Facebook.
If you want to get in contact with me, you guys can find me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my books. I've been working steadily on the edits for book 6 in my series, The Archives of a Sync Ran. I'm working on another project that is a YA project. And then this coming weekend, I actually am going to be participating in a writing challenge through Woodland Writers. It's a fantasy writing challenge. You get to do something like 2,000 words. They give you the prompt and everything. It's going to be fun. The theme for this particular challenge is dark academia. So I've been kind of brainstorming ideas. Other than that, you can connect with me on YouTube. Just do a search for GKJ Publishing. I've got a show on there called The Right Way. And then, of course, I'm on another show. It's not new anymore. It's been out for almost 2 years. But the show Snackame on Feast of Fandoms, where we talk anime and eat snacks.
All right. And as for us right here, if you want to get a hold of us, a couple ways you can do that. warofthestars1@gmail.com, or you can go to all other social media and check us out at War of the Stars 77. If you want to support the show, go to ko-fi.com/War of the Stars, or go to warofthestars77.printify.me and check out all the cool merch that we have there on that site. So yeah, as Garrett mentioned, we are a member of Feast of Fandoms. Check out all the shows, not just our show and not just Snackame, but there is something for every type of geek nerd fandom there is.
You can
so
also
check those out.
QR
and also check out all the shows on our. Yes. Yeah, that thing right up there in the corner. You can also check out all the shows on the Red 5 Network. And check, we're a proud member of the Red 5 Network. So check that out. And check us out next week when we are doing yet another tier list where we are listing our favorite lightsabers and seeing which ones we like and don't like. So check that out next week. Until next week, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. And remember, the answer to the question everyone wants to know, why did Adele cross the road? Just say hello from the other side. May the Force be with you.